is by who they elect as president and who they elect as vice president. Now, what's at stake here is the president's made it clear he wants to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. He's been running on that, he ran on that, and he's been governing on that. He's in the Supreme Court right now trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which will strip 20 million people from having insurance, health insurance now, if it goes into court. And the justice, and I'm not opposed to the justice, and she seems like a very fine person. But she's written before she went to the bench, which is her right, that she thinks that the Affordable Care Act is not constitutional.
Yes, it isn't.
And if it is struck down, what happens? Women's rights are fundamentally changed. Once again, a woman could be held to more money because she has a pre-existing condition of pregnancy. They're able to charge a woman more for the same exact procedure a man did. Yes. And that ended when we, in fact, passed the Affordable Care Act. And there's 100 million people who have pre-existing conditions. And they'll be taken away as well. Those pre-existing conditions, insurance companies will love this. And so it's just not appropriate to do this before this election. If he wins the election and the Senate is Democrat or Republican, then he goes forward. If not, we should wait until February.
There aren't 100 million people with pre-existing conditions. Okay, Justice Ginsburg said very powerfully, very strongly, at some point, 10 years ago or so, she said the president and the Senate is elected for a period of time, but a president's elected for 4 years. We're not elected for 3 years. I'm not elected for 3 years. So we have the Senate, we have a president
elected to the next.
During that period of time, we have an opening. I'm not elected for 3 years, I'm elected for 4 years. And the 100 million people, the 100 million people is totally not going to that number. The problem that you have is that you're going to extinguish 180 million people with their private health care. That's certainly not true. I'm going to socialists. I'm going to socialists.
We're now into, gentlemen, we're now into open discussion.
Open discussion.
Yes, I agree. Go ahead, Vice President.
Number one, he knows that what I proposed. What I proposed is that we expand Obamacare and we increase it. We do not write any. And one of the big debates we had.
He's looking down a lot.
Of my colleagues trying to win the nomination that I won were saying that Biden wanted to allow people to have private insurance still. They can. They do. They will under my proposal.
Not what you said, and it's not what the party is saying.
That is simply
your party doesn't say. Your party wants to go socialist.
My party is
socialist
right now. I am,
and they're going to dominate you, Joe. You know that.
I am the Democratic Party right now. The platform of the Democratic Party. But I approve that. But here's the deal. The deal is that it's going to wipe out pre-existing conditions. And by the way, the 200,000 people that have died. Well, there's 7 million people that contracted COVID. What does it mean for them going forward if you strike down the Affordable Care Act?
You know, you had 308,000 military people dying because you couldn't provide them proper health care in the military. So don't tell me about this.
I'm happy to talk about
And
this.
if you were here, it would be 200. It would be 2 million people because you were very late on the draw. You didn't want me to ban China, which was heavily infected. You didn't want me to ban.
All right, wait, gentlemen.
You have been much later, Joe.
Mr. President.
God bless.
You're talking about 2 million people.
Mr. President, as a moderator, we are going to talk about COVID in the next segment, but
Let me finish. The point is that the president also is opposed to Roe v. Wade. That's
Good.
And so that's also at stake right now. And so the election is all
It's on the ballot. Why is it on the ballot?
because
Why is it on the ballot? It's not on the ballot.
it's on the ballot in the
I don't
court.
think so.
In the court.
Well, there's nothing happening there. Voting on Roe v. Wade.
I don't
review.
well, all right, let's talk. We've got lots of unpack here, gentlemen. We have a lot of time, so. On healthcare, and then we'll come back to Roe v. Wade.
All right.
Mr. President, the Supreme Court will hear a case a week after the election in which the Trump administration, along with 18 state attorneys general, are seeking to overturn Obamacare, to end Obamacare. You have spent the last
Because they want to give good health care.
if I may ask my question, sir.
Good health care.
Over the last 4 years, you have promised to repeal and replace Obamacare, but you have never in these 4 years come up with a plan, a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare.
Of course I have.
Well,
The individual mandate, which was a big chunk of it, that is absolutely a big thing. That was the worst part of Obamacare. Chris, that was the worst part of
let me
Obamacare.
ask my
Well,
question.
yes, Joe.
I
The
know.
individual mandate was the most unpopular aspect of Obamacare. I got rid of
I'd like to
it.
hear-
Let him finish.
President, I'm the moderator of this debate.
Let him finish.
I want you to let me ask my question.
Let him finish.
And you can answer
Go
it.
ahead.
I know that feeling though.
In the course of these 4 years, have never come up with a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare, and just this last Thursday, you signed a largely symbolic executive order to protect people with pre-existing conditions 5 days before this debate. So my question, sir, is what is the Trump healthcare plan?
Well, first of all, I guess I'm debating you, not him, but that's okay.
Nice one.
Because you know against big pharma. Your prices will be coming down 80 or 90%. You could have done it during your 47-year period in government, but you didn't do it. So we're cutting health care. And all of the things that we've done, insulin, I give you an example, insulin, it was destroying families, destroying people because I'm getting it for so cheap. It's like water, you want to know the truth. So cheap. Take a look at all of the drugs that, while we're doing prescription drug prices, we're going to allow our governors now to go to other countries to buy drugs because they pay just a tiny
I
fraction.
say this is open discussion.
No, but this is.
You'll be happy, I'm about to pick up on one of your points to ask the Vice President, which is he points out that you would like to add a public option to Obamacare, and the argument that he makes and other Republicans make is that that is going to end private insurance.
It is
and
not.
will- It will end private insurance and create a government takeover of health care.
It does not. It's only for those people who are so poor they qualify for Medicaid. They can get that free in most states, except governors who want to deny people who are poor Medicaid. Anyone who qualifies for Medicare would Medicaid would automatically be enrolled in the public option. The vast majority of the American people would still not be in that option. Number one.
Joe, you
Number
agree
two.
with Bernie Sanders' his far left on the manifesto bill that manifests you socialized medicine.
Look, hey,
Are you
I'm
saying
not going to listen to him. The fact of the matter is, I beat Bernie Sanders.
Not by much.
Ah!
Bernie knows how to do it.
Tuesday. You got
Look,
very
here's
lucky.
the deal. I'm very lucky tonight as well. And tonight I'm going to make sure, because here's the deal. Here's the deal. The fact is that everything he's saying so far is simply a lie. I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar. But I just want to make sure. I want to make sure.
Oh, jeez.
Last thing is last thing, first thing.
I want to make sure.
Can you let me finish, sir?
Well, he doesn't know how to do that. He has, you know, you pick
Be surprised.
the wrong guy, the wrong night at the wrong time.
Listen, you agreed with
Here's the
Bernie
deal.
Sanders to the
The whole
manifesto.
idea-
Here's the value.
There is no manifesto, number
Please let him
one.
speak, Mr.
Number two,
You just lost the left.
number two.
You agreed with Bernie Sanders on a plan.
Folks,
Absolutely.
folks, do you have any idea what this town's
Socialized, they
doing?
call it
Mr. You have any
socialized medicine.
Mr.
I'll
President.
tell you what, he is not for any help for people needing health care. Because he in fact already has cost 10 million people their health care that they had from their employers because of his recession. Number one. Number two, there are 20 million
No.
people getting health care through Obamacare now, but he wants to take it away. He won't ever look you in the eye and say that's what he wants to do. Take it away.
I want to give
Number
you better
3.
health care at a much lower price because
He
Obamacare is
doesn't know
not
how. He doesn't know how to do
already
that.
fixed
He
it.
has never
I've
offered
already
a
fixed
plan.
it to an extent.
He has never
Obamacare,
done a
as you
single
might
plan.
know, probably does. Obamacare,
You're both speaking at the same time.
and it's too
Let
expensive.
the president, go ahead, sir.
Obamacare is no good. We made it better, and I had a choice to make very early on. We took away the individual mandate.
Thank
We
God.
guaranteed pre-existing conditions, but took away the individual mandate. Listen, this is the way it is. And that destroyed, they shouldn't even call it Obamacare. Then I had a choice to make. Do I let my people run it really well or badly? If I run it badly, they'll probably blame him, but they'll blame me. But more importantly, I want to help people, okay? I said, you got to run it so well. And I just had a meeting with them. They said, the problem is no matter how well you run Obamacare, it's a disaster.
Yes.
It's too expensive,
I got you.
premiums
I
are
got
too
it.
high, and it doesn't work.
Get rid of it.
We do want to get rid of it. Chris, we want to get rid of it.
I understand that, sir, but I have to give you roughly equal time.
Good.
Please let the vice president talk.
Good.
He has no plan for health care.
Yes, we do.
He sends out wishful thinking. He has executive orders that have no power. He hasn't lowered drug costs for anybody. He's been promising a health care plan since he got elected. He has none, like almost everything else he talks about. He does not have a plan. He doesn't have a plan.
He doesn't have a
The fact
plan.
is, this man doesn't know what he's talking about. He's
Question for you, Mr. Vice President. If Senate Republicans, we were talking originally about the Supreme Court here, if Senate Republicans go ahead and confirm Justice Barrett, there has been talk about ending the filibuster or even packing the court, adding to the 9 justices there. You call this a distraction by the president, but in fact it wasn't brought up by the president. It was brought up by some of your Democratic colleagues in the Congress. So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now.
Oh,
Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now. Make sure you, in fact, let people know we're senators. I'm not going to answer the question because the question is,
the radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Wow.
Keep yapping, man. The people understand you. For 47 years, you've done nothing. They understand.
All right.
Oh.
The second subject is COVID-19, which is an awfully serious subject, so let's try to be serious about it. In the United States, and more than 200,000 people have died. Even after we produce a vaccine, experts say that it could be months or even years.
Most of us aren't wearing masks. We're all healthy.
Anything approaching normal. My question for both of you is, based on what you have said and done so far, and what you have said you would do starting in 2021, why should the American people trust you more than your opponent to deal with this public health crisis going forward? In this case, the question goes to you first, sir. 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Good luck. 200,000 a day. As you said, over 7 million infected in the United States. We, in fact, have 5%, 4% of the world's population, 20% of the deaths. 40,000 people a day are contracting COVID.
Look, he's
And just
reading.
for that,
Look at what he's reading.
About between 750 and 1,000 people a day are dying. When he was presented with that number, he said, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is because you are who you are. That's why it is. The president has no plan. He hasn't laid out anything. He knew all the way back in February how serious this crisis was. He knew it was a deadly disease. What did he do? His own tape is acknowledging he knew it. He said he didn't tell us or give people a warning of it because he didn't want to panic the American people. You don't panic. He panicked. In addition to that, what did he do? He went in and we were insisting that the people we have on the ground in China should be able to go to Wuhan and determine for themselves how dangerous this was. He did not even ask Xi to do that. He told us what a great job Xi was doing. He said we owe him a debt of gratitude for being so transparent with us. And what did he do then? He then did nothing. He waited and waited and waited. He still doesn't have a plan. I laid out back in March exactly what we should be doing. And I laid out again in July what we should be doing. We should be providing all the protective gear possible. We should be providing the money the House has passed in order to be able to go out and get people the help they need to keep their businesses open schools that cost a lot of money. You should get out of your bunker and get out of the sand trap and get in your
Who's the one in the basement?
Democrats and Republicans and fund what needs to be done now to save lives.
So if we would have listened to
You
you,
have 2 minutes, sir.
if we would have listened to you, the country would have been left wide open. Millions of people would have died, not 200,000, and one person is too much. It's China's fault. It should have never happened. They stopped it from going in, but it was China's fault. And by the way, when you talk about numbers, you don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in Russia. You don't know how many people died in India. They don't exactly give you a straight count, just so you understand. But if you look at what we've done, I closed it, and you said he's xenophobic. He's a racist, and he's xenophobic. Because you didn't think we should have closed our country. Wait a
It
minute.
says 2 minutes.
You didn't think we should have closed our country
That's right.
because you thought it was terrible. You wouldn't have closed it for another 2 months. By my doing it early, in fact, Dr. Fauci said, President Trump saved thousands of lives. Many of your Democrat governors said, President Trump did a phenomenal job. We worked
That's
with the
right.
governor. Really? Go take a look. The governors said I did a phenomenal job. Most of them said that. In fact, people that would not be necessarily on my side said that. President Trump did a phenomenal job. We did. We got the gowns, we got the masks, we made the ventilators. You wouldn't have made ventilators, and now we're weeks away from a vaccine. We're doing therapeutics already. Fewer people are dying when they get sick. Far fewer people are dying. We've done a great job. The only thing I haven't done a good job, and that's because of the fake news. No matter what you say to them, they give you bad press on it. It's just fake news. They
Yep.
give you good press, they give me bad press, because that's the way it is, unfortunately. But let me just tell you something. I don't care. I've gotten used to it. But I'll tell you, Joe, you could never have done the job that we did. You don't have it in your blood. You could have never done that job.
I don't have it.
Well, you did very well in swine flu. H1N1.
Whoa, what's he
You were a
looking at?
disaster. Your own chief.
Oh!
14,000 people died, not 200,000. There was no economic recession.
You made a
There was no
You made a point. Let him answer.
And there was no one, we didn't shut down the economy. This is his economy, Ms. Speed. He shut down. The reason it shut down was because, look, you folks at home, how many of you got up this morning and had an empty chair at the kitchen table because someone died of COVID? How many of you
Not
were in
me.
a situation where you lost your mom or dad and you couldn't even speak to a nurse holding the phone up so you could in fact say
You would
goodbye?
have lost far
How
more
many
people.
people?
Far more people. And you would have been.
And by the way, his own CDC director says we could lose as many as another 200,000 people between now and the end of the year. And he held up and said, if we just wear a mask, we can save half those numbers. Just a mask. And by the way, in terms of the whole notion of the vaccine, we're for a vaccine, but I don't trust him at all, nor do you. I know you don't. But we trust as a scientist.
You don't
We
trust
Dr.
Johnson, Pfizer?
Well, by the way,
Okay.
and then-
I do trust the president. I do trust him.
Questions, because you both have touched on one of the two of the questions I'm going to ask. Focusing on the future first, President Trump, you have repeatedly either contradicted or been at odds with some of your government's own top scientists. The week before last, the head of the Centers for Disease Control, Dr. Redfield, said it would be summer before the vaccine would become generally available to the public. You said that he was confused and mistaken. Those were your two words. But Dr. Slowey, the head of your Operation Warp Speed, has said exactly the same thing. Are they both wrong?
Well, I've spoken to the companies and we could have it a lot sooner. It's a very political thing because people like this would rather make it political than save lives.
Oh.
It is a very political thing. I've spoken to Pfizer. I've spoken to all of the people that you have to speak to. We have great Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and others. They can go faster than that by a lot. become very political because the left, or I don't know if I
So
call it
you're
left, I don't know
suggesting
what I
that the
call it.
head of your Operation Warp Speed, Dr.
I
Snobby,
disagree with him. No, I disagree with both of them. And he didn't say that. He said it could be there, but it could also be much sooner. I had him in my office 2 days ago.
He talked about the summer, sir, before it's generally available. Just
He
like
said it's a
Dr.
possibility that we'll have the answer before November 1st. It could also be after
It's
that.
generally available.
Well, we're going to deliver it right away. We have the military all set up logistically. They're all set up. We have our military that delivers soldiers, and they can do 200,000 a day. They're going to be.
This is the same man.
It's all set up.
By Easter, this would be gone away. By the warm weather, it'd be gone. Miraculous, like a miracle. And by the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm. That would take care of it. This is the same man. Sarcastic.
Oh, please.
I would have said
And
sarcastic.
so here's the
Yes,
deal.
it was.
This man is talking about a vaccine. Every serious company is talking about maybe having a vaccine done by the end of the year. But the distribution of that vaccine will not occur until sometime beginning or the middle of next year to get it out. If we get the vaccine. And pray God we will. But pray God we will.
Mr. Vice President, I want to pick up
We'll
though.
have
on
the
that.
vaccine
I
soon.
want to pick up on this question though. You say the public can trust the scientists, but they can't trust President Trump. In fact, you said that again tonight. Your running mate, Senator Harris, goes further, saying that public health experts, quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed. Given the fact that polls already show that people are concerned about the vaccine and are reluctant to take it, are you and your running mate, Senator Harris, contributing to that fear?
No more than the question you just asked him. You pointed out. He puts pressure and disagrees with his own scientists.
But you're saying you
Everybody
can't,
knows.
Senator Harris is saying you can't trust the
No,
scientists.
well, no, you can't trust the scientists. She didn't say that. You can't trust
She said the public health
They said
experts,
that.
quote, will be muzzled, will be
Yes,
suppressed.
well, that's what he's going to try to do, but there's millions of scientists, there's thousands of scientists out there, like here at this great hospital, that don't work for him. Their job doesn't depend on him. That's not, they're the people, and by
I
the way,
spoke to the scientists that are in charge.
By the way-
They will have the vaccine very soon.
you believe for a moment what he's telling you in light of all the lies he's told you about the whole issue relating to COVID. He still hasn't even acknowledged that he knew this was happening, knew how dangerous it was going to be back in February, and he didn't even tell you. He's on record as saying it. He panicked or he just looked at the stock market. One of the two, because guess what? A lot of people died. And a lot more are going to die unless he gets a lot smarter, a lot quicker.
Mr. President?
Did you use the word smart? You forgot the name of your college. You didn't go to Delaware State. You graduated either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me. You, Joe. 47 years you've done nothing.
Let's have this debate.
And if you would have had, let me just tell you something, Joe. If you would have had the charge of what I was put through, I had to close the greatest economy in the history of our country. And by the way, now it's being built again.
See,
We're
he's
going to
going
get to the economy in the next segment, sir.
Okay.
It's going up fast.
Okay.
Forward to it.
When it comes to how the virus has been handled so far, the two of you have taken very different approaches, and this is going to affect how the virus is handled going forward by whichever of you ends up becoming the next president. I want to quickly go through several of those. Reopenings. Vice President Biden, you have been much more reluctant than President Trump about reopening the economy and schools. Why, sir?
Because he didn't have a plan. If I were running, I know what the plan is. You've got to provide these businesses the ability to have the money to be able to reopen with the PPE as well as with the sanitation they need. You have to provide
Tell that to
them
Nancy
basic-
Pelosi. Tell it to Nancy Pelosi. And
And by the way, Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, they have a plan. He won't even meet with them. The Republicans won't meet with the Senate. And he sits on his golf course and, well, I mean, literally, think about it.
You probably know more than I do, Joe. He wants to shut down this country, and I want to keep it open. And we did a great thing by shutting it down. Wait a minute, Joe. Let me shut you down for a second, Joe, just for 1 second. He wants to shut down the country. We just went through it. We had to because we didn't know anything about the disease. Now we found that elderly people with heart problems and diabetes and different problems are very, very vulnerable. We learned a lot. Young children aren't. Even younger people aren't. We've learned a lot. But he wants to shut it down. More people will be hurt by continuing. If you look at Pennsylvania, if you look at certain states that have been shut down, they have Democrat governors all. One of the reasons they're shut down is because they want to keep it shut down until after the election, November 3rd, because it's a political. But those states are not doing well that are shut down right now.
President Trump, you have begun to increasingly question the effectiveness of masks as a disease preventer. And in fact, recently you have cited the issue of waiters touching their masks and touching plates. Are you questioning
No, I think
the
masks
efficacy
are,
of
you have to
masks?
understand, if you look, I mean, I have a mask right here. I put a mask on it, when I think I need it. Tonight, as an example, everybody's had a test and you've had social distancing and all of the things that you have to, but I wear masks when needed. When needed, I wear a mask.
Okay, let me ask.
I don't wear a mask like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen.
Go ahead, sir.
Look, the way to open businesses
Come on,
is to give
man.
the wherewithal to be able to. We provided money, the
And I
company.
was asking you, sir, about masks.
Right, masks make a big difference. His own head of CDC said if we just wore masks between now, if everybody wore masks and social distance between now and January, we'd probably save up to 100,000 lives. It matters.
And they've also
It
said the
matters.
opposite. They've also said
No serious person said the opposite. No serious person.
Dr. Fauci said
He
the
did
opposite.
not say the
He
opposite.
said very strongly, masks are not good. Then he changed his mind, he said masks good. I'm okay with masks.
I'm going to ask you both about one last subject, because your different approaches has even affected the way that you have campaigned. President Trump, you're holding large rallies with crowds packed together, thousands of people.
Outside.
Outside, yes, sir, agreed. Vice President Biden, you are holding much smaller events with
Nobody shows up to his rallies.
rallies. Why you not? You go first, sir.
Because people want to hear what I have to say. I mean, great job as a president, and 25, 35,000 people show up at airports. We use airports.
Are you not worried about
We
the
have a
disease
lot of
issues?
people. Well, so far, we have had no problem whatsoever.
Right.
Outside, that's a big difference according to the experts. And we do this, and there are tremendous crowds, as you see. I mean, and literally on 24 hours notice. And Joe does the circles and has 3 people someplace.
One of the last big rallies he had, and a reporter came up to him to ask him a question. He said, no, stand back. Put on your mask. Put on a mask. Have you been tested? I'm way far away from those other people. That's what he said. I can't. I'm going to be okay. He's not worried about you. He's not worried about the people out there breathing one another.
We've had no negative effect.
No negative effect.
We've had no negative effect. And we've had 35, 40,000 people at these rallies.
Just quickly finish up, because I want to move on to our next.
Yes, I would. He's been totally irresponsible in the way in which he has handled the social distancing, the people wearing masks, basically encouraging them not to. All right, but he's a fool on this.
If you could get the crowds, you would have done the same thing. But you can't. You can't.
Can we move on to the economy?
Yes.
Que
The
bueno.
economy is, I think it's fair to say, recovering faster than expected from
Yes.
the shutdown. The unemployment rate fell to 8.4% last month. The Federal Reserve says the hit to growth, which is going to be there, is not going to be nearly as big as they had expected. President Trump, you say we are in a V-shaped recovery. Vice President Biden, you say it's more of a K-shape. What difference does that mean to the American people in terms of the economy? President Trump, in this segment, you go first.
So we built the greatest economy in history. We closed it down because of the China plague. When the plague came in, we closed it down, which was very hard psychologically to do. He didn't think we should close it down, and he was wrong. And again, 2 million people would be dead now instead of still 204,000 people is too much. 1 person is too much. Should have never happened from China. But what happened is we closed it down, and now we're reopening, and we're doing record business. We had 10.4 million people in a 4-month period that we've put back into the workforce.
Okay.
That's a record the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. And he wants to close down, he will shut it down again. He will destroy this country. You know, a lot of people, between drugs and alcohol and depression, when you start shutting it down, you take a look at what's happening in some of your Democrat-run states where they have these tough shutdowns. And I'm telling you, it's because they don't want to open it. One of them came out last week, you saw that. And we're going to open up on November 9th. Why November 9th? Because it's after the election. They think they're hurting us by keeping them closed. They're
Yep.
hurting people. People know what to do. They can social distance. They can wash their hands.
What's
they can
he
wear
doing?
masks, They can do whatever they want. But they've got to open these states up. When you look at North Carolina, when you look at these governors are under siege, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and a couple of others, you got to open these states up. It's not fair. You're talking about almost it's like being in prison. And you look at what's going on with divorce, look at what's going on with alcoholism and drugs. It's a very, very sad
Wow,
thing.
Joe's not looking
and
too
he'll
good.
close down the whole country. This guy will close down the whole country and destroy our country. Our country is coming back incredibly well, setting records as it does it. We don't need somebody to come in and say, let's shut it down.
All right, your 2 minutes, sir. We're now moved to you. As I said, posing the question, the president says it's a V-shaped recovery. You say it's a K-shaped recovery. What's the difference?
The difference is millionaires and billionaires like him in the middle of the COVID crisis.
Oh, there we go, the Bernie talk.
Another billionaires have made over $300 billion because of his profligate tax program, and he only focuses on the market. But you folks at home, you folks living in Scranton and Claymont and all the small towns and working class towns in America, how are you doing? This guy paid a total of $750 in tax.
Wait, sir, it's you've agreed to the 2 minutes, so please let him have it.
Do I get my time back? The fact is that he is, in fact, working on this in a way that he's going to be the first president of the United States to leave office having fewer jobs in his administration than when he became president. Fewer jobs than when he became president. First one in American history. Secondly, the people who have lost their jobs are those people who have been on the front lines, those people who have been saving our lives, those people who have been out there dying, people who've been putting themselves in a way to make sure that we could all try to make it. And the idea that he is insisting that we go forward and open when you have almost half the states in America with a significant increase in COVID deaths and COVID cases in the United States of America. And he wants to open it up more. Why does he want to open it up? Why doesn't he take care of the America? You can't fix the economy until you fix the COVID crisis. And he has no intention of doing anything about making it better for you all at home in terms of your health and your safety. Schools. Why are schools open? Because it costs a lot of money to open them safely. You know, they were going to give, his administration was going to give the teachers and school students masks. And then they decided, no, couldn't do that because it's not a national emergency. Not a national emergency. They've done nothing to help small businesses. Nothing. They're closing. 1 in 6 is now gone. You ought to get on the job and take care of the needs of the American people so we can open safely.
Your time is up, sir. We're going to get to it.
We're going to respond to that.
Well, you both got 2 minutes, sir.
Excuse me, he made a statement.
So that you,
People want their schools, no, people want their schools open. They don't want to be shut down. They don't want their state shut down. They want their restaurants. I look at New York. It's so sad what's happening in New York. It's almost like a ghost town. And I'm not sure it can ever recover what they've done in New York. People want their places open. They want to get back to their life. They'll be careful, but they want their schools open. I'm the one that brought back football. By the way, I brought back Big Ten football